A new era of Toronto Raptors basketball is about to begin, but just how good of a start are we going to see to this era? We're going to try and figure that out in today's video. Let's get into it. This is Amateur Hour Sports, the YouTube channel completely dedicated to Toronto Raptors content and videos like this, as well as live streams such as watch parties, which we're doing the first of the regular season tonight as the Raptors take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Please do not miss out. Also, remember, merch is on the way, so stay tuned for more information. But if you like what you see along the way, drop a like on this video and subscribe for more Raptors content all regular season. The Raptors getting started in their brand new era today. The future starts now, as the slogan will be for the season, and it's a really good, refreshing mindset to have for this team. Committing to rebuilding, committing and outwardly saying that this is year one of the rebuild. The Raptors are not going into this season with very high expectations, but nonetheless, the players are going to be out there on the court trying to succeed, trying to win games. Darko Rajakovic is going to be doing his best in his mind to put the team in the best position to win as many games as possible. And maybe some conversations about tanking will come into play throughout the season, but what will it take for the Raptors to surprise this season and avoid those tanking conversations, because they'll just outplay those conversations? We're going to try and break that down over the course of the next 10 or so minutes. So the Raptors enter the season with a win projection, or at least that's what the sportsbook odd makers are setting this team at, around 30.5 wins. I think that we can all look at this number of 30.5. I've seen it around 29.5 as well. I think we can all look at the numbers here and say that the Raptors, they're a better team than that. The Raptors are a better team than 30.5. The line being set here is more so of a conversation of whether or not this is going to be a team that tanks halfway through the season. I think if the Raptors go full power for the entire season, this is definitely a team capable of winning at least 35, 36 games, especially if they are healthy. But if they're in that sort of range, will it be more beneficial for them to focus on the draft when it seems to be a loaded draft class? So as far as the upper echelon of what the Raptors can achieve this season, first thing that needs to happen for this team, and we're already off to a pretty rough start in this category, is injuries and staying healthy. If the Raptors are healthy, especially with the core guys of Siakam, too soon, man. Especially the core guys of Barnes, Barrett, and Quickley. If those guys are healthy and playing at least 70 games, this team has obviously a much better chance of maintaining competitive throughout the year. It's a pretty thin team on the bench. I know I've said in the offseason that it seems like a pretty full depth chart in terms of having NBA talent. I think there's like at least 13 players, maybe even 14 players you could say on the roster are NBA caliber rotation guys. It's just not top tier bench guys that the Raptors have a plethora of. In fact, they don't really have any of. So the step down from a Barnes, Barrett, or Quickley to the bench to bring somebody up to start and place them, there's a significant drop down from those guys to anybody else that comes in. Maybe less so when Bruce Brown hopefully gets healthy and he's playing, and hopefully it's better this season than he was last season for the Raptors. But there's a decline there, and a pretty sharp one at that. So we're off to a bad start because we're starting the season without RJ Barrett and not having that wrecking ball presence on the court where he can just put his shoulder down, get in the paint, and get the Raptors a bucket when they need it. Not having that to start the season is likely going to be slightly problematic for the team. But on top of staying healthy, which would be the answer for any team, what they need to do to surprise this season, on top of that, they need to see some individual growth out of those core guys and more support coming from the bench. I think that we're all anticipating Barnes take another leap forward. Maybe not a huge one, but a leap forward. We're expecting Immanuel Quickley to fine-tune his game as a point guard a little bit more and propel his game forward. RJ Barrett was so fantastic last season that I think we will see even maybe a little bit more production-wise. Efficiency numbers may come down, but his overall production may increase. But even if it stays relatively the same, I think that's a huge win for what you can get out of RJ Barrett on the court. So they're going to need those guys to perform, but they're going to need that additional help as well. Grady Dick needs to take a big leap forward for this team to succeed. Jakob Poeltl just needs to continue being a super solid rim protector and an excellent link between those players on the offensive end. Well, scoring a healthy amount of points per game as well. Really like what Jakob Poeltl brought to preseason. Excited to see him in the lineup over the course of the year as well. And there needs to be some guys stepping up off the bench. Like I said, it's not top tier bench talent here. Like Bruce Brown, while he's here, in theory should be that, but we haven't gotten the best out of him in Toronto as of yet. So who else is going to step up there? I'd like to see more offensive production from Davion Mitchell. I'd like to see what Jacoby Walters can do. Hopefully he can step up to what I'm expecting him to do in his rookie season with the Raptors. And maybe a guy like Chris Boucher comes back from the ashes really to be a significant piece off the bench. Something is going to happen from the bench for the Raptors to maintain that competitiveness, because we can't have these lineups that are out there where like Darko loves to play the 1 starter, 4 bench player lineups, and we just need to see a lot more talent out of the bench for this team to maintain the competitiveness, to really solidify themselves in the 40 win range over the course of the season. If the Raptors get that and they give themselves a proper chance in each of these games on defense, perhaps they could surprise. The defense is going to have to come from the coaching here. There's not the greatest amount of defensive talent overall, but Barnes has proven to be a solid defender who's getting better. We need to see improvements from RJ Barrett's defense. We need to see improvements to Immanuel Quickley's on-ball defense. Grady Dick needs to be, he can't be a non-factor defensively. Pirtle is great to have as a rim protector. Nothing really to complain about there. And help coming off the bench. Abaji needs to be knocking down his threes. He's a good defender, and he still is. He's showcasing that. Needs to knock down his threes more consistently. Needs to be a more active participant on the offensive end. And hopefully Davion Mitchell and Jamal Shead can solidify some point of attack presence on defense when they're out there on the court. It's going to come from health. It's going to come from help where maybe you do not expect it. And it's going to have to come from the defensive side of the ball. If the Raptors can get all 3 of these things to click, that's a lot that has to go right. And that's probably a team that wins maybe around 40 games. Probably still doesn't creep up to 500 on the season. So in the end, as far as what the win prediction is for myself for this season, again, I think that it's going to be a tough conversation to have here. I think that this is a team capable of winning 35 to 36 games with a decent amount of health involved. But we're already starting the season on the back foot from a health perspective. Nothing from preseason has really given me a ton of hope that this is going to be a team that's even top half of the NBA in defense, like a top 15 defensive team. And just not as confident enough in the bench to really propel forward here. And for that reason, if the Raptors are in that 35-36 win range in terms of their pace around the trade deadline, if they're on pace for 35 to 36 wins, that actually might be a play-in tournament spot in the Eastern Conference, but that's like a 10 seed in the East. You're getting a tough play-in tournament to even get to the playoffs, and if you do get to the playoffs, you get the 1 seed. The expectation is that 1 seed is going to be the Boston Celtics. Look, it's year 1 of the rebuild. The future starts now. I don't think there's any shame in going out to start the season trying to win games. I think that's the best for the development of the players on the floor this season. I think that's the main goal of the season, developing the guys that you have here. Go out to start the season trying to win as many games as possible. And if you're above expectation, great. Try to get yourself into a playoff spot. But if you're not on that pace, if you're on that 35-ish win pace, maybe look at the draft class and say, hey, we might be better served taking a little bit of a step back here and getting another great piece to add to this team on a rookie contract for 4 years and having that to develop going forward. I don't think there's any shame in that, but because I think that's likely going to be where the Raptors go, my prediction for wins on this season is going to be 31 to 32 wins. So in terms of the over-under I talked about at the start of the video, I'd probably lean towards the over, but I can very much see the Raptors really doing a proper tank job like they've done twice in recent memory here and getting themselves under that mark. But I think around 31, 32 wins is where this team is going to end up. And look, I hope I'm wrong. Honestly, I hope I'm kind of wrong both ways. I hope I'm wrong in the way that the Raptors surprise and win way more games than that. But also, I hope if they're not as good as that, I hope I'm wrong. They kind of I don't want to say I want my team to lose here, but in a way, I hope that they give themselves a better opportunity in the NBA draft lottery, because 32, 31 wins is kind of in a dead zone in the NBA. You either want to be in that playoff mix or you really want to be near the bottom of the standings to give yourself the best chance in the draft. So that's how I feel about the season. Let me know in the comments down below how many wins you think this team is going to get. Please make sure you drop a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel for more Raptors content. I do videos like this. I do live streams as well. I do watch-alongs, which I'll be doing one tonight as the Raptors start the season against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And keep your eyes out. More information about Amateur Sports merch is on the way. I'll see you again next time for another video.